in a given period of time. It's $2 a month. I don't care. I have a knife. But yes, Fire Force. I have friends that are raving about Fire Force. This knife is really big. But look, Marco. I have a thing for Marco. I have a thing for characters with wings. I think Marco is one of the cooler looking characters in One Piece. I'm sad that there's not a whole lot of him at this point that I'm aware of in One Piece. But Marco. I like Marco. I got this for my birthday. And hadn't opened it. I don't know what it looks like, but so we're gonna open it. So this is Ban Presto's S Culture line. So one of Ban Presto, typically these figures, if you were to acquire them in Japan, these would all be crane game figures, pretty much. Like you'd have to win them, more or less. They're prize figures. Eventually Bandai figured out that there was a market in the US for these things, so prize figures and stuff that I imagine most of these are repackages and stuff for prize figures and things that they had too many of, or they hadn't been able to move outside of Japan, so they started repackaging them for a US market. Generally, if you get the Japanese version of this, it's roughly the same, minus any barcodes. Like, there's barcodes on these that you don't have on the Japanese ones. So yeah, this is part of their S Cultures and the Figure Coliseum line. None of these particularly are in scale to one another. They all vary in size. But what they do with the Figure Coliseum line, what Bandai does with the Figure Coliseum line is, you'll see here on the back, they have different sculptors and artists come in and do the figures for these. So different people will come in and do sculpts for new figures. Whether it be for, they also do this with Dragon Ball. They have the same line, but with Dragon Ball as well, but with Dragon Ball characters, where they do the same thing. I'm sure there's other stuff, but Dragon Ball, I know for sure they do it with Dragon Ball, and I hate these, by the way. There's so much packaging in these boxes. It's insane. Like, there's a whole... Why can't you just box it in this? Like, look at I love the box. Like, put the same box art, but like this size. There's so much wasted cardboard. So much wasted cardboard. Stop wasting the cardboard. Stop it. Yeah. I'll open it. And then they come packaged in more plastic. Oh gosh. And then you just have this giant waft of cardboard that, what do you do with that? I throw away so much of this stuff. Because we'll open these and check them for people at the store. It's a very complicated little plastic prison. But yeah, like, because even more so, the fact that they package the figures like this, where they're in parts, so you kind of stick them together. There's really no reason for such a huge box. Like, I could understand if it was if it was a statue and the statue was all in one piece, so you had a big box, but that's not the case. So you'll see with the stand, it's got the label on it for what series it came from. The Banpresto Figure Coliseum 6, 5, 6, 6, 4, 5, 6, 6, 6. With the Bandai logo, and a serial number on it at the bottom. There are fakes of these things because they're prize figures. Fakes of them do exist. The details obviously wouldn't be as good. Fakes usually tend to have a lot of warping. The paint jobs are really terrible. Like, super terrible. So much, like, the paint comes off, like, rubs off on each other in your hands. Marco Polo. I used to give whole panels, years and years and years ago, I used to give whole panels on recognizing, how to recognize fakes. I've been collecting figures and statues for a very, very long time. And now I do it for work, so, sort of, anyway. So we'll get the upper torso of Marco. Even, like, these are... Ah! Hello, Brooke. These guys are, like you said, these are, no, don't do that. Even though these guys are prize figures, so they're really lightweight plastic. The jacket is not a hard plastic, it's, a little bit flexible. Same thing with the fingers, they're pretty flexible. The hair on, the body is a little bit more, solid plastic. Same thing with the hair. But, like, I can't tell you that, I would imagine that these, if you want to, any time today. Maybe. It just wants to look at me, not Marco. So, like, the lines on either, whether you want to call it a paint job or them, like, paint, like, putting the print on the paint job, are actually very, very, very clean, even though it's a very small figure, and it's a prize figure. Same thing with the tattoo. It's very, very, very clean. Would you want to maybe... Focus! It just wants to focus on me and not on this thing that I'm putting in front of the camera. But yeah, the paint line here is really, really, really clean. Even, like, the lines that are probably printed on for his, Can will you focus if I do it this way? Ah, you kind of will. Yeah, so really, 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 really clean, even, like, down to the lines on his little, like, his beard. It's very, very, very clean. I imagine, again, that this is probably not, those are probably not painted on. They're probably, printed onto the plastic. it doesn't, I mean, that's what it feels like to me. The softer plastic is usually where the problems happen, where you can see like some of the paint not necessarily being super clear. It's a prize figure. I mean, what are you gonna, it's a prize figure. But I mean, the sculpt's pretty good, like, for, you know, whatever, a $25 figure. That's something too. The prize figures did something for the American market that we didn't have before. Back when I started collecting things, if you wanted prize figures, you got really lucky. I'm stuck in my chair. If you wanted prize figures, you imported them. You used to have to import anything like this. You either went to eBay and bought them for ridiculous prices, or you imported them. Back in the day, unless you went through a third party, or followed a guide, or understood enough Japanese to navigate your way around particular websites, it wasn't easy. You could find the stuff, and you could find the stuff for a lot cheaper than you would on eBay, but it still wasn't easily accessible. That has absolutely changed, especially with Bandai making the choice to bring over their prize figure line. 3 other companies have also started bringing over, 3 of the other 3 major prize figure companies have also started to offer domestic product. Taito, Furyu, and Sega. All 3 of them have begun to offer exports to of certain titles and prize figures for those titles. So do you wanna maybe? It's mad at me because I moved it. Something new, I don't want to focus. Focus. There we go. So Sega, Taito, and Furyu, most of them have only been doing like titles that they know are selling in the US. It's still very difficult to find prize figures for most things, most anime. You can get stuff for ReZero now. You know, the less expensive prize figures, you know, anywhere between 20 to the high-end lottery prize figures from Bandai, the Ichiban Kuji series, the Ichiban Kuji line, those go up go up to about $60 on the high end for some of the Ichiban Kuji line. But those are also the Bandai Ichiban Kuji figures that are released in the US are only for the non-Japanese market, because in Japan they are lottery figures. The only way you get those products in Japan is if you buy them through the secondary market or you win them in an Ichiban Kuji lottery. Bandai has also started licensing Ichiban Kuji in the United States. We carry them. We carry them where I work. Every single one they release in the US, we carry them. One way, they're not all coming until later this year, because they just got the licensing for them here in the US, and for only certain ones, but you can look forward to I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, Ichiban Kuji, several My Hero, Ichiban Kuji. I think we've got Kirby coming, Gundam, several are coming this way. The ones that I would really love to see domestic are the Pokemon Ichiban Kuji, but that's a whole nother rabbit hole. And I don't think that Bandai would be able to get the license to, or want to bother with the license to distribute that in the US. So I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, like for some of these crane figures or like prize figures, if you look up on a very rare occasion, the Japanese versions of them are very expensive because you could only win them a certain way. You couldn't buy them. Okay, getting his lower half in here is a chore. It's a nice snug fit, which isn't bad. But you don't, with these, like, you don't want to push on it from here, because the way these things are glued in down here and because they're soft, you'll snap this off. If you try to, like, push in the two parts by, like, pushing on the arm or the hand or the leg or the feet, you'll snap them. You'll definitely, or you'll tear them. So don't do that. This is hard. And the legs themselves are hard, so if you need to push, I just push from this shoulder and to get it. You also don't want to push on this because it will snap, on the belt because it'll snap. But I mean, same thing. I mean, not, you know, for. And I mean, the posing on these things is really great. When you get them all together on the stands, they're pretty cool. We got his backside. So these are soft. The tails on these are soft. Stuff like this often gets pretty like folded up in packaging. You can a little like, so this is soft enough plastic that like if you just kind of hold them in between your fingers for a few seconds and kind of just let it warm up or whatever, just with a very little pressure, you can kind of move them around to pull them out away from the back so they float the way they're supposed to. There's this tiny little hole here on his belt where this goes into. All of these have little like key design. They all have like these little key designs that show you how they should fit into the slot. So that way you know what fits into what. Same thing when you're pushing especially when you're pushing these little parts in, be mindful not to wiggle anything. Don't wiggle it in there. It'll break. Or you definitely have a higher chance of it breaking by doing that. But I mean, it's not loose. It's very tight in there. It's not going anywhere. My favorite part. Okay, so I'm taking these out of the boxes and I'm putting them together, and then I'm going to be like, I have no idea where to put this because my shelves aren't put together yet. Or the rest of my shelves aren't put together. I have several other details and everything. So the coloring on these is, I mean, it's a prize figure. You're not going to get the gradation painting on these, or like the shading or anything like that that you would on like a high-end statue. That's gonna run you, you know, closer to $100 plus. However, you know, if you're somebody who likes customizing stuff and you want to add that detail into it, it's easy to do. All the base colors are there. It wouldn't be hard, but I think, you know, just the difference in colors in the stages is perfectly fine. Again, $20 figure. You know, $25 figure. I'm not expecting Sideshow or Kotobukiya statue level detail out of these. Like, they are what they are. And there he goes. There is the full Marco. So he does come, like I said, like I showed earlier, he does come with a stand. The stand sometimes, depending on the figure, is where it can get iffy. Same thing, you really want to be mindful of where you're pushing for these. Try not to wiggle. This is hard plastic. It's not as likely that it will break. But there you go. And I mean, he's pretty solidly on there. I mean, it's pretty neat to me. Marco! Yay! Marco the Phoenix. So it's really funny. My Japanese coworker, who really doesn't do a whole lot of anime, like at all, he's been going through Netflix. He's got Netflix, so his anime exposure at this point has been through what's on Netflix when he's got time after like his kids go to bed or something like that. Today he was like, I tried to watch Code Geass last night. I haven't watched Code Geass. I couldn't get into it. Neither could he. He was like, it's okay. It's like Gundam and Macross together, kind of. It's robots. I was like, yeah. I was like, but people know what it is. This conversation came up because he had gotten a CC figure, or we had received a CC prize figure at the store, and he was like, yeah, I mean, I guess. I was like, people here like it, so, you know, it is what it is. We have another Marco! I told her the same for Marco. This is the, Treasure Cruise line. Treasure Cruise World Journey is the series for this one. This is volume 5. They release them in volumes, which usually means it's just the volume in this case means it's a different character. This is the Treasure Cruise World Journey outfits the characters in different outfits from like different places in the world or whatever, which is part of the theme. So like the pair, the one that this released with, that Marco released with, is Ace. They're not together in this set, in this box, but these two were released simultaneously, or would have been close to each other. Obviously, as you can see, Ace is like a gunslinger, kind of very Western style. Dracula, Mihawk, Boa, Sanji. Pretty much most of the characters have gotten a release on this line. I think some of them are cooler than others. I am particularly fond of Marco because he looks super dapper. But like I think Mihawk and Boa both have yukata. They're Japanese styled costumes for them. So Boa's in like this very out of, like, off character for Boa anyway when I think of Boa. Her outfit is green for the Treasure Cruise figure. So here's what I mean when I'm talking about these prize figures absolutely not being in scale with one another. These boxes don't have a tremendous size difference. Realistically, you could fit either or figure in either box. But this Marco is, I mean, the legs on this Marco alone, for this Marco, are like the size of the previous Marco. Like, that's the difference in scale we're talking here. Cost-wise, same. They're roughly the same price point. They're not really far away from each other. I love this Marco. He's so dapper. I love it. I just love the look on his face. Super dapper. Where's your other hand? Oh, your hand's in your pocket. That's really funny. Important thing to note here. His glasses are only glued on at the kind of like glued on at the edges here. So that would be something you'd want to be aware of. They definitely kind of move a little bit if you touch them. So this would be something that, like, I don't think it would break very easily, but, you know, if you knocked it the wrong way, they would snap off. They absolutely could snap off. There's a lot of really kind of cool detail, like you can see in his little ascot. I don't know if you actually can, but there's some sculpting in there, some little swirls. You know, the paint scheme, again, very prize figure, very, 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 very simple. Again, you know, this is stuff that in Japan you'd be playing a crane game or something to get it. These are prize figures. So they are produced at a low cost for the company. And then, you know, sent out in containers or whatever. And then you go play crane games to win them. I much prefer buying them outright. But that is a personal thing. So yeah, he's got nowhere near. I'm going to have to be really careful with this because I'm going to break this or lose it or both. He's got his, like, little walking stick thing. I lose this. So this is also something very common. And this is something I try to explain to people, like, look, don't get your panties in a wad or, you know, over things like this. It's plastic. It's soft plastic. You know, a lot of times when, you know, minimal heat can kind of warp them a little bit, but they're sitting, you know, in these, they're usually stuck, it's like they're wrapped up in these boxes, and stuff like this usually bends while it's sitting wrapped up the way it's wrapped up in those boxes. Same thing, you know, I mean, if you just kind of warm it up with your fingers a bit, you can easily re-straighten it. If you really want to get, if you really are bothered by something like this, if you're bothered by something like this and it's bent, like let's say you pull out a figure, and it's like a kind of a plastic, and it's got a bend in something like this, and you don't like it, you want to straighten it out. Hair dryer. Don't blast it really hot. You don't want to melt it. You don't want to make any super permanent changes, but you could use a hair, like kind of like a hair dryer a little bit, and just kind of, you know, hold it till it kind of reshapes in the direction that you want it to go in, and that should fix the problem. But I don't care. His little stand is very simple. This one does not have any identifying markings except for a serial number on the bottom. Yeah, there's nothing at all like the X Cultures thing. This is just a simple barcode, that's it. There's nothing on here saying Bandai, there's nothing on here saying Banpresto, anything like that. His legs, real simple, with his hand pre-stuck into his pocket. His very nice dressy shoes. He goes here. Like also super duper common. With prize figures, I'm not going to do that until I do this. Oh god. Also super duper common with prize figures, same thing. Don't do what I just did and accidentally squeeze his legs, or like legs like this. When you're doing this, try not to do too much, because there's joints, not joints, but yeah, plastic. You don't want to snap it, break it, whatever. Also, his hand didn't directly go in. Oh god, stop that. Don't do any of the things that you are trying to do. You can stop it now. Alright, there. So his hand didn't initially go in. Now it does. You definitely want to be mindful of these things. I don't want to break anything. So very, very, very common problem with prize figures with stands like this. And I've seen people complain about it, and look, it's plastic. Sometimes you can be, this happens. You put one foot into one of the pegs, the other foot doesn't completely reach the other peg the way it's supposed to. Don't yank it. If you can, just very lightly kind of try to extend it to where it catches on its own, and then put the pressure down, and there you go. It's on. You don't want to yank it. In some cases, with some of these, I don't force it all the time. If the gap between the peg and the thing it's supposed to sit on, whether it be like the foot and the peg that it's supposed to sit on, if the gap is too big, I don't force it. So long as you can get one foot in, and kind of lean the other one up against, like if it's leaning up against the peg or something like that, but you can't get it to go in without breaking something, just leave it. You could use the same trick, and try heating it up with a hairdryer to make the plastic more pliable and stretch it out, if you think it's going to break. Sometimes I just don't bother with it because I don't care. It's going to go sit somewhere in a shelf and be cool, and I'm not going to pay attention to it. This will just... So, I hate these things because they always slide out. You can, I guess, have him hold this as far in or as far out as you want. The box has him holding it all the way in. So he stands there all dapper. My dapper Marco. Yee. He looks like he belongs in, what's a Netflix show? Peaky Blinders. That's what I think of when I see him. I think of Peaky Blinders from, Netflix or whatever. There. Alright, so we got Marcos. Alright, so 10 out of 10, my top tier. I'm excited for this one. I haven't opened one of these yet. We just got them. I'm not putting them... we put them on the shelves tomorrow. I saved them for the weekend, because there's certain stuff that just flies off the shelves, like Nezuko. I can't put Nezuko product out really fast, because it sells. super, 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 super fast. But we have finally started getting domestic Jujutsu Kaisen figures. Kotobukiya has released statues for Yuji, or has released a statue for Yuji. You cannot buy it off of their website anymore. It's sold out off of their website. There's a couple of other places that still have it in stock. So he runs you about 120 for the statue. Fushiguro, Nobara, and Gojo are all coming out later this year. Are supposed to come out later this year from Kotobukiya. However, this is this Bandai. This is this is a lottery figure. In Japan, the only way you could have gotten this figure is if you played one of the Jujutsu Kaisen Ichiban Kuchi. This is an Ichiban Kuchi figure. This is still falls under the same line as prize figure. I know for a fact that this is actually part of one of their Ichiban Kujis. And the rest of the figures that are coming later this year in this line are all from that same series, but they're being redone and repackaged for sale in the US. My brain died. So yeah, so the Japanese cost for buying this, importing one of these is not cost effective. I wouldn't recommend it. If you can get one locally, Amazon probably, whatever, again, same thing, $20, $25. Because it's going to cost you probably $40 to import one, at best. So same thing, just the absurd amounts of box packaging, unnecessary box packaging. Look at it, so much cardboard. Anyway, we're not here for me to complain about cardboard. I got a lot of crap this week. So this is more in scale with the Marco I just opened. With the Dapper Marco. Definitely more in that scale. And that tends to be the case with lottery figures. You have to get... Thank you for doing that. You fell for the troll. 1, 2. Kote, I absolutely hope that our favorite person in the world got to hear that. And that he's getting ready to throw. If he didn't, shame. So yeah, it's a little bit, it's, I would say it's in between the two. It's not quite as big as the last Marco, but it's not as small as the S-Cultures. But the Ichiban Kuji figures tend to be a little bit bigger. I'll go grab another Kuji figure that I haven't ever opened out of the room, and I'll show you what a big prize figure looks like, in case you haven't seen one. I don't know, people probably know. I mean, if you're here, I'm sure. But, yeah, so these are all same in terms of material. He's kind of the same mix of soft and hard plastics. Yeah, he's out here doing Black Flash, whatever, I guess. Very excuse me, same thing, very simplistic paint scheme. There's nothing special about this in terms of, you know, there's no shading. It's just straightforward paint. His hair is very spiky. It's actually a pretty hard. Thank you, Lily. Hi. Yay. Hello, hello, hello. So yeah, how are you guys and gals, folks? Yeah, I can't tell whether Yuji's face is angry, scared. Same thing, you know, real simple here. Nothing. Yay! I'm glad to hear it. Real simple. Nothing. Oh, you're gonna be. See, now we're gonna be difficult. Oh, nope, there we go. It fit. Yeah, nothing, absolutely nothing out of the, wild about this figure. However, like, as someone who's collected statues, figures, Figma, Revoltech, Nendroid, McFarlane. I mean, I've gone from low tier kid toys all the way, you know, I mean, I own Sideshow statues. You read. I will always praise the how much Bandai bringing, like, these companies starting to domesticate prize figures. It's so good. It's really, I think, a really, really great marketing move. I think it's a really smart move for the anime industry, you know, the anime toy industry, because, yeah, you know, I mean, people spend lots of money on their waifus, okay? But the people who are spending, you know, the real, the folks who are spending money on their waifus, you know, on those kinds of statues, those kind of figures, the gachas and stuff like that, are not the same market as all the time as the people who are watching Adult Swim, and the shows and things that are going on Adult Swim. You know, it's not the same market necessarily as people who are watching Dragon Ball or My Hero. You get a lot of kids watching My Hero, and the things going through Toonami and Adult Swim. It's a younger audience, who don't necessarily have the kind of pocket money or a job to go out and buy a $200 statue of their favorite anime character. It's very cost prohibitive. So I think this was the right move. I think that Bandai's thing too with doing the action figure line, like the $20 action figure lines that you can go pick up from like Targets and stuff like that, of they have it for One Piece, Dragon Ball, and Gundam stuff right now. Actual action figures. I think that's very smart. It makes it accessible to a younger age group, to collect this kind of stuff. It gets them into it, and it gets them into it without anyone having to feel guilty about it. You know, if I'm spending $20 or $25 on something like this, I'm not complaining. Like, I'm fine. I can buy a whole line of $20, $25 figures and be like, cool, yeah, I'm gonna do that. You know, the difference, but like, again, this is, oh geez, it's got two different size pegs, so now I gotta figure out which peg goes where. Correct? Maybe? Correct. Different size pegs. And like these things, these guys, for example, they release, like, these are being staggered. You can't buy, like, they're not releasing the whole cast of characters at one time. So you're not like, oh, if I want to collect them all, I have to come up with $200 today. But that's $20 for $25 for a statue.